everybody, it's Margot here at My Favorite Quilt Store, and I wanted to give you an overview of how to cut out the Cosmic Poppy. This is one of our favorite patterns. It's the quilt that's back here on the wall. We have it in 5 colors so that you can find one that's going to please you and look great in your home or for your friend or whatever, whoever you're going to make it for. So the first thing we do when we get when you get the pattern is to completely read through it, because there are some interesting things about it and you want to be able to read through it so that you understand how to make the quilt. Secondly, when you get ready to cut out the quilt, there is a template page inside that gives you this that looks like this. I don't use this template paper. This piece of paper is a thick piece of paper and you could use it if you want to, but I like to keep this for future reference, and I found something better that works for me and it'll probably work for you. So what I do is I use freezer paper, because it has the property of sticking to the back of the fabric where you can iron it on so that it's easily cuttable. And then you can also draw all the stuff. So you draw it all out on the paper side, not the slick and shiny side. The slick and the shiny you want on the back, and you want the paper feeling side on top. So what I do is I take my template page that she gave us and I lay it down on a flat surface. You can use tape if you would like to tape your piece of freezer paper down. I make sure it's as big as the piece of paper underneath it. So once I get it taped all down, so I've got it taped, I've got it all flat against my pattern piece. Then what I do is I take my Sharpie and I draw carefully around the line. Now if I make a mistake, which I did here because I got off the line, I just put some little lines through it so that I know that's not the cutting line and redraw the cutting line. See here, I got a little off right here too. So I just put marks through it so that I would know that's not the right line. You messed up a little bit. So then I'm making sure that I cut it on the right line. So once you get it all drawn on your freezer paper, on the paper side, not the shiny side, then the second thing that you're going to do is you're going to cut them out. So we cut them all out, and I've got them all cut out here. I'm going to use template B. So what you want to make sure is when you do them is that you put the marks on the side for straight of grain. These are the straight of grain marks. And that you also put the letter number corresponding to the piece on the piece. It's easier to do it while it is still attached. Again, I've added the straight of grain and the name of the piece that I'm going to use. So when I've made this a couple of times, so I'm constantly trying to figure out how many of each of these templates of fabrics I really need. So what I did at the bottom of the colorful sheet that comes in each packet, I put down how many you need to cut. So of the blue sky, we're going to need 5 of A, 5 of B, 9 of D, 7 of D, of C, 7 of D, and 15 of E. So this gives you an idea of how many of each of these you're going to cut out of the blue. Then I give you how many cut out of the green, how many cut out of the A's for the center fabrics, because I was constantly cutting out a lot of these little A's, and I didn't need them out of all that colorful fabric because the center of the fabrics are all the same color. And then it tells you how many to do of each of the colored flowers. So then what I've also done on the back side of this is, if you want to even get more in depth of how many colors you need to cut by coloration, I've given it to you on the back also. So like if you're making this flower, I tell you how many fabrics you need to cut and what, how many fabrics for this flower, how many fabrics for this flower. So I've tried to make it easier and give you cutting directions in a grid format so you'll know what to cut for each of the kits that we have out there. Hopefully this will help you understand how to cut it and what you need to cut out of your fabric. So now I'm going to go to the cutting section. So this is my paper side, and this is my shiny side. And what I love about this is that I am able to put this and use it many, many times. I rarely have to remake these because I can use it over and over. You can definitely use it, everything you need for a for one full quilt. Now when you make your second one, because I know you're going to have so much fun making this, you're going to want to make your second one, you might have to make some more. So I cut 2 layers, maybe even up to 3 layers at a time. If you get much more than that, it makes it very, very difficult. The other thing that I do is sometimes I'll put a flathead pin in the middle if I am cutting some more layers, so that it doesn't distort what I'm going to cut, and it'll give you a little bit of, you'll make sure that all 3 layers are staying together. So I normally really only cut 2 layers because that's where I get my best, most accurate cuts at. So then I'm going to put D down next on the straight of grain because I need to cut some D's out of this green. And I'm going to show you how close I would put them. So this one, and I'm just showing you the green, but this works for any of the colors. This outside one I've got on the straight of grain, and I've got it pretty close to the edge on these 2 sides. And then I've put this one in on straight of grain. You can see there's a little bit of room in between each one because you're going to need that to be able to get the straight of grain. And the reason why you want to make sure this is on the straight of grain is because once you cut this, it's all bias. And so this helps you keep the least amount of stretch in your bias if you cut it on the straight of grain when you're actually cutting first. So then what I do is I personally don't use a rotor cutter. I take my scissors and I cut around all of the pieces one by, cut them all out and get them ready to sew. So I would cut around all of these, and usually I have to leave them sitting flat on a table when I'm doing it until I get all of my pieces cut and ready to go. So I do my my green, and then I've got the blue here to cut the blue next. And as you can see, this particular E piece is mainly just in the blues and the greens, so you're not going to cut but a couple of these in the colorful fabrics. So this one, once you cut it out of your blues and your green, you're going to want to set it aside. And same with your A template. You're not going to cut it except for the centers. So once you get all those cut, which I usually cut those first, I put all that to the side with the A template so I don't accidentally get it mixed up in my other fabrics. So we've offered you a lot of different selection in this, so you can cut and choose the ones that you want to use in the greens and the blues on this quilt. So I hope this helps you figure out how to put that fabric together. Happy sewing!